All right, my name is Charles Kim. I am an Oracle ACE director from North America. And one of the few things that I do is lots of events around Oracle Cloud, and in particular, performing backups to Oracle Cloud. I've been doing Oracle since 1991. I am the founder and president of Viscosity, written a few books in Oracle space. In particular, one that is going to resonate with this presentation is going to be the Oracle Data Guard handbook. And a lot of the RMAN commands that will go over here will actually be in the handbook itself. Also, I will provide a lot of the scripts, and you can download those scripts and use them for yourself. I make all of the scripts publicly available, and it's a great start for DBAs who are new to RMAN. At the same time, great start for even the seasoned DBAs to learn more about different techniques of performing RMAN backups. All right, so I'm also the president of the Cloud SIG for the IUG, and as part of the IUG Cloud SIG, we do a lot of workshops all over the country, and the stuff that I'm presenting today is actually part of our workshop. We do a full day workshop on Oracle Cloud. We start with database backups to Oracle Cloud using the Database Backup Cloud, and we go into object storage and archive storage, and we finish the actual workshop with the Oracle Storage Cloud software appliance, and we'll go through that as well. So the areas that I like to play in, and obviously in the Exadata space, do a lot of rack work and specialized in implementing SharePlex. And this year alone, Viscosity has done over 27 SharePlex implementations for zero downtime upgrades and migrations. So a big focus of what we do is on the latest and greatest new features. Last year, I challenged all my consultants to write blog articles specifically on 12.2. And you'll see on day 10, we focus on RMAN, which is, again, very relative to what we're going through today. This year, we'll probably do 18 days of 18C. So very similar to what we did in the years before. We do have a book on Oracle Cloud. It's a little bit dated because it's on the Oracle Cloud Classic, but we are evolving it to the latest OCI. So, like I said before, from a data guard perspective, there's lots of 12.2 new features, and what we did last year in Q1 is that we did a deep dive into 12.2 new features, and so you can download these papers from our website. I also wrote a book together with another Oracle ACE director, Mr. Jim Kubuzinski, and we did it on pluggable databases, specifically doing zero downtime migrations from on-premise to Oracle Cloud, and performing pluggable database migrations from one data center to the other, from one container to the other, because it really does change how we perform upgrades and how we do maintenance going forward. So we are going to release an Exadata Pocket Reference Guide at OpenWorld. This is one of my projects that I'm working on right now. It's going to be, about 125 pages. It's pure Exadata stuff, from case studies, use cases, to performing the actual imaging itself, patching, integration with ZFS, a lot of good information. If you're interested in getting a copy, shoot me an email or hit me on Twitter. All right, so like I said before, we do a lot of cloud workshops. If you want something like this for your company, we can do one even over a webinar as well these days. All right, so we do a lot of presentations and a lot of local events all over the country, but we do a lot of webinars. And so the things that you see in the green are webinars that we do. We try to do a webinar, one development webinar, one DBA webinar, and one hardware-focused webinar every month now. And so, like I said, I do have a lot of scripts. If you go to dbaexpert.com/dg for DataGuard, all the scripts that I'm going to be mentioning here, it'll be all there and downloadable from there as well. All right. So we at Viscosity have written about 20 books. And so from a public cloud perspective and from a DBA perspective, in the past 27 years of my career, we have evolved quite a bit. When I first graduated college, we had to know, Unix in and out. We have to know C. We have to know how to program, do shell scripting, and we even had to know how to, do data modeling on top of, learning how to do Oracle forms and writing Oracle reports, right? And so as we evolved, right, we have become more of a compartmentalized kind of DBAs, and we become like GUI DBAs, right? And now with with the cloud, our role is changing even more. And so with the cloud now, from a DBA perspective, right, we have to learn how to do database backups to Oracle Cloud. How do I leverage storage from Oracle Cloud as on-premise storage, right? And most importantly, right, is all these new things that are coming out from Oracle in terms of the autonomous data warehouse to the new OCI, right? We have to learn how to leverage that as DBAs. All right, so here's a high-level agenda. We're going to go through the storage offerings that's in Oracle Cloud. We're going to go through the database backup as a service. We're going to go through the RMAN backup and restore from on-premise to Oracle Public Cloud, right? We're going to go through the configuration. How do we do backups and actually do a restore in Oracle Public Cloud? We're going to go through the difference between object storage and archive storage. And we're going to go through the storage cloud software appliance. So back in 2016, there Ellison announced that we'll have the cloud, what we call the cloud first policy, and this is where we announced that Oracle announced that everything that they release is going to be on Oracle Cloud first, and subsequently it will eventually make on-premise. And so from a on-premise adoption, right, about 6 months later, right, in March of 2017, Oracle finally released Oracle 12.2 for on-premise. So from a cloud journey perspective, right, just like what Oracle has done from a cloud first policy, we there's a lot of companies out there, right? They're going to eventually adopt a cloud first policy also. Just like on VMware, customers who are on VMware, especially the ones that are super mature, right? These companies have a virtualized first policy, right? And from their perspective, they must be able to quantify why their databases cannot be virtualized, right? And likewise, we have customers who are in Oracle Cloud. They are they will eventually have to do the similar thing, where they will have to justify why their database and application cannot go to cloud, right? And so from a driver perspective, right, as we have multiple cloud vendors now, we have Oracle, we have Azure, we have AWS, right? Each vendor has their own nuances, and each vendor has their own features that makes them unique. And so as we mature in this cloud space, right, we will learn about different licensing models, how Oracle and AWS is impacted, and how from a cloud perspective, right, we have certain pitfalls that we have to deal with. So let's talk about the different storage options, right? So Oracle, when it first came out, right, we had three basic storage models, right? We had initially the object storage, we had the archive storage, right? And we had initially block storage. And so since then, with OCI, they've added local NVMe, and they also added OCI file storage service as well. And we'll go through all this as well. From a file and database backup perspective, it leverages the object storage, and we can perform a database backup directly from on-premise to Oracle Cloud, or we can leverage products like Symantec or Commvault and be able to back up leveraging their tools to object storage directly, right? And so we have those kind of capabilities. And lastly, what's becoming more and more popular nowadays is the storage cloud software appliance. Okay, the software appliance is a POSIX compliant NFS filer, and it will it doesn't have SMB support yet, but that's in the roadmap. But however, right, we can literally mount a local share, and whatever we copy to the NFS mount share will be replicated to Oracle Cloud. And I'll actually go through some of that. All right, so let's talk about the file storage service first, right? This is within Oracle Cloud, right? So as you have multiple database cloud VMs or just strict, infrastructure VMs, right? You can share storage between just about any VMs out there, right? So basically, it's where you go through the storage options and you choose file systems, right? And it's going to go and pick 4 ports for you to choose from, right? And the default ports are going to be port 111, 2048, 2049, and 2050. And once you make those readily available, you will be required to install the NFS utils package on your VM. And then from there, you can simply sudo and make your directories that you want to mount and simply mount them as NFS4. All right, so that's the OCI file storage. And as you can see, it's $4.25 per terabyte per month. And if you compare this to other cloud vendors, this is where Oracle really shines. It's significantly easier to use than other vendors, and other vendors don't have it as quite as robust as Oracle does. All right. So let's talk about from a backup to Oracle Cloud perspective, right? How we can protect our on-premise databases by moving them to the cloud. So if you are, for example, right, a company that has compliance requirements, and you have the need to provide or move or have an offsite copy of your database, right? Offsite database backup, right? It's a easy and natural move for you to take your backups and just replace your Iron Mountain with Oracle Database Cloud, right? Or Oracle Database Backup Cloud, right? So with Oracle Database Backup Cloud, I can back up databases directly to Oracle Cloud. I can back up my database to local disk to FRA, and from FRA back them to Oracle Cloud, right? And the cool thing is that once I have my backup to Oracle Cloud, right, I can simply recover my database, and I can actually instantiate a VM. I can install the backup module that I'll be talking about, and I can restore my control file and my database. Okay, and basically from a RMAN perspective, right, I simply treat the cloud as if it was tape. Okay, so let's look at some of the benefits that it buys us, right? It gets us instant offsite storage, right? It gives me full-blown encryption for free. It gives me the capability to compress my backups to Oracle Cloud for free, right? And everything in Oracle Cloud from a disk perspective is triple mirrored. So we have three-way protection, right? And because the data is replicated across availability domains as well, right? We can actually have complete coverage from a high availability perspective, right? So also, we can back up databases, anything that greater than 10.2 or above, and that can be for Enterprise Edition as well as Standard Edition. And the cloud simply becomes our tape media. Right, so the Oracle Database Backup Cloud Service, right? You can actually complement what you have from a backup strategy, or you can actually completely replace your backup strategy as well. And so depending on the size of your company and how fast you can adopt change, right, will determine how much and how fast you can move your backups to Oracle Cloud, right? And the beauty of Oracle Database Backup Cloud is that there's no upfront costs for hardware, and you don't incur any initial investment costs as well. So because it is a pay-as-you-go model, right, you simply provision the Database Backup Cloud and start performing backups, right? And the cool thing is that it scales as your capacity requirement scales, right? So typical backup strategy for a lot of companies is that they'll back up their databases to the FRA, and they'll keep 7 days of FRA on local disk, and they will back up 30 days, for example, to an NFS share, right? And they'll do up to 6 months to tape media, and then they'll vault, for like documents that they have to keep for compliance or any kind of reports, right, for years, and they'll put that to offsite storage. All right, so here's a high-level architecture of what the backup looks like, right? So you can see that from a database perspective, right? We leverage RMAN, and with RMAN, we enable compression, and we also enable encryption, right? And so this is where leveraging those technologies become a valuable asset, especially because you're going to Oracle Cloud, right? And you're going to be also be backing up your databases over a wide area network. And the fact that you can actually leverage encryption and compression for free, right, is one of the biggest features that you get, right? And then and everything that you back up is going to go via HTTPS, and it's going to land in some sort of object storage in Oracle Cloud. So, like I said, it's very simple to perform your database backups, and I call it easy as 1, 2, 3, but it's really 5 steps, right? We have to subscribe to the backup service. We have to download the backup cloud module, right? And then we have to go install the cloud module and configure RMAN, and then we'll simply perform the backups, right? And so you'll see that once we configure the RMAN, that the backup itself is no different than any other backups that we do. Okay, so from a DBA perspective, if you're used to using media management layer and backing up things to SPT tape, there's no learning curve for the DBA. So most of the DBAs will know how to back up their databases to tape, and so it just becomes a simple transition and just a little bit of a transition to back up to Oracle Cloud, right? And so commands like set, configure, backup, restore, and recover are all the same commands, okay? And so as you can see in the very bottom, right, simple commands, backup database, restore database, it's all the same commands to back your database to Oracle Cloud. So from a best practice perspective, they don't change either, right? General recommendation is you perform weekly full backups, you do daily incrementals, right? That's what majority of the companies out there do. And then if you have the requirement, or if you want to archive your backups for extended period of time, you can actually go move them to archival storage. Leverage multiple channels for higher degree of parallelism for your backups. Leverage multi-section backups, right? This is where if you don't have that much of a bandwidth between your site to Oracle Cloud, and you're trying to back up a 32 gig data file, right? Back them up in section sizes of, let's say, 1 gig, and increase your parallelism, right? That way you can get more with less, And also change your compression from basic to medium. And lastly, everything that you do from a backup perspective, whether you're backing up to the cloud or whether you're backing up to on-premise, you should always have blockchain tracking on, right? Because that will enable you to do fast incremental backups. So, like I said before, increase your parallelism. This is where you have to actually play with this a little bit, right? And you want to increase your parallelism until you hit your maximum acceptable network throughput, right? And it's simple to do by simply leveraging the configure command. And you can specify the degree of parallelism. In this case, in this example, I set the parallelism to 4, right? And also, there's a metalink note, 2022086.1, and this particular metalink note will go through how you can determine the network throughput for a specific period of time. And you can actually adjust your settings after that as well, right? And so if you are more critical of a database, right, you need to consider backing up additional, or you need to actually back up your archive logs more frequently, right? And lastly, download the installer at least, we say at least every couple of months, but once a quarter, because Oracle does, enhance their their backup process. And lastly, configure auto backup on to be automatic. Okay, so from a database backup cloud perspective, Oracle charges $33 per month per terabyte. And so if you look at the fact that you get advanced security option and you also get RMAN compression for free, right? $33 per month per terabyte becomes a easy sell, right? And so that is for non-metered. Now, if you're looking at metered, right, the prices vary, but the prices do go down as you consume more. Okay. So, like I said before, right, the backup service supports 10G databases, 11G, and also 12C and 18C. And as you can see, also it supports Standard Edition and SC1 and SC2, right? So from an operating system perspective, just about every operating system that is supported. And from a compression perspective, our recommendation or best practice is medium compression. And if you are doing a backup to Oracle Cloud, right, only encrypted backups are accepted in Oracle Cloud. So you must have encryption enabled, and Oracle does allow password level encryption, or you can do TDE encryption with wallets, or you can do dual mode between wallet and TDE. Okay, so as you guys may or may not be aware, if you have Oracle Standard Edition, you cannot leverage ASO, right? So you're not going to be able to back up your databases to Oracle Cloud. But you can simply download a patch, right? 18339044, right? And apply that patch, and even with a Standard Edition, you'll be able to back up your database to Oracle Cloud. Okay, so here's the types of backups that's supported to Oracle Cloud, right? As you can see that, or even Oracle supports image copies, but in order for you to back up image copies to Oracle Cloud, you must first have image copies on your FRA, and from the FRA, you back up that up to Oracle Cloud. You can also see that even at the table level, right, I can actually restore from Oracle Cloud as well. Okay, and so from a list of commands, right, just about everything you can do on-prem, you can do from Oracle Cloud as well. Okay, so let's look at how to configure backups in Oracle Cloud. And so first you must download what we call the OPC install jar file. And you can download those from OTN. And once you download the zip file, which is going to be the OPC install.zip, and as you unzip it, it'll create the OPC install.jar file. And with it, is also a Readme file that comes along with it as well. Okay, so from you take the install jar file, and you'll have to know some information to be able to go finish this out. First of all, you're going to have to know your identity domain. Okay, and your identity domain will be assigned to you when you create your cloud account. You'll also be assigned an OPC ID, which will be your email address that you use, and the password that you are you're leveraging for your Oracle Cloud. And you'll also have to provide the wallet directory and your library home. Okay, and so and I specify the service name to be storage, which basically means that I'm going to be going to object storage, right? And then you can see on the right side what that looks like from a output perspective, right? And it will actually create in my Oracle Home DBS directory a file called opc sid.or name, right? Just like we have Oracle init sid.ora, right? And it will actually define in there the REST endpoint for my storage, right? And plus the wallet location that I specified during the install, okay? And so that's install.jar file is the classic way of doing things, right? Now, Oracle is always improving their cloud, and with the new advancements that they made in the past year, right? You'll hear everything to be OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, right? And so things are done a little bit differently now than it used to be. Okay, so now we'll have to create a compartment, right? And everything is categorized in a compartment, and resources are granted via the compartment, right? Within a compartment, we'll create buckets, right? Buckets are like containers that we create for object storage, right? And we'll also have to create authorization tokens, right? And we'll leverage that instead of our password, our cloud passwords, to be able to go and install the jar file, okay? And then after we install the jar file in OCI, then we'll be able to leverage RMAN. So let's look at compartments, right? To create a compartment, right, we're looking at going through the actual menu in the top left-hand corner, go to Identity, and you'll see compartments right above the Federation option, right? And so by default, you'll get two compartments, right? And we don't want to use the default compartments. We want to go create our new compartment, right? And so be careful with the name of the compartment, because it can't be deleted, but also the name of the compartment can't exceed more than 100 bytes as well, characters. And so we want to go create, in this case, a compartment called production, and simply go click on the create compartment button. And then you'll see that we created a compartment called production, right? And so, like I said before, there's two compartments that's created for you automatically. One is the root, and one is the managed compartment for a pass. And so you don't want to do anything in those two. You always want to start by creating a new compartment. Okay. And so once you create a compartment, right, now I'm going to go create the object storage, right? And so when I go to the menu button option on the top, right, I'm going to click on object storage and click on the object storage option again. And now when I go there, right, I have to go and choose my compartment where I'm going to go create my bucket for, right? And so once I click on the production compartment that I just created, right, I'll have the option to go create a bucket. So I'm going to click on the option to go create a bucket. And now when I create the bucket, the container, right, I have the option to go create it in standard storage or archive storage. Standard storage is synonymous as object storage in Oracle, right? So I'm going to take the default, which is standard, right? And also in OCI, we have the option to tag our buckets. So we specify tags to be able to find that resource easier, okay? So I'm going to go and just take the default and click on the create bucket, right? And then it'll take me back to my bucket screen, which is in my production compartment, and you can see that the DB backup bucket is there. Okay, lastly, what I have to do is I have to create the authorization token, right? Authorization token is under the identity and under the user, right? But however, I must go look at the option to view user details in the far right. Click on the ... button, right? And in the user details, right, on the very far left, you'll see the option to go create auth tokens. Okay, it's going to be the second option that you see under API keys, right? And then I'm going to go and have it generate a token. And so once I click on the auth token button, I will have a pop-up that says generate token, and I just simply go create a description and click on the generate token. Okay, and once I close on it, it'll take me back to the screen. Now my auth token has incremented by 1, and I have a generic token that I created. Okay, and this is a token that I'm going to use for my backups. Okay, so that token now in OCI, right? I apologize for the screenshot, but it's just we're just doing this in Windows, and it's amazing that lately, despite the fact that the past couple of years it's been predominantly on Linux, lately for the past 2-3 customers that we had, they've been on Windows, and everybody has their own challenges. But now with the jar Java command, this is for OCI, right? I specify the host, and you can see here, the REST endpoint has the actual data center now, right? Plus the identity domain, okay? And my OPC ID is still my username, my email address, but my OPC password is my auth token that I just generated. Prior to, the password was my cloud password, right? And then my container would be my DB backups, right? And so, and I would specify my wallet directory, right? And so if you want specific examples on Windows, right, please let me know. Also, the fundamental difference between Linux and Windows is that as you specify the OPC ID and OPC password, right, it's double quoted on Windows, whereas in Linux it's single quoted. Okay, and that will actually make quite a bit of difference. Another thing to look out for is that as you go and pass the wallet directory, right, that it becomes C:, in this case, app or user admin backup config, right, that that there's no backslash at the very end either. Right, so once I do the actual Java install, right, everything else is the same, whether you're on Classic or whether you're on OCI, right? So now I can go in RMAN, right? I can actually go and run a set of configure commands, right? The first one is to set retention policy, right? 30 days. Next one is to specify device type of SPT tape. And as you can see, we're setting and using the SPT library called live-opc.so. This is the shared library that ships with the backup module, and is treating the Oracle Public Cloud opc.so shared object as if it was a tape, media management library, right? Now I'm going to configure encryption for the database to be on, right? I'm going to set my parallelism to be 2. I'm going to set compression to be medium, and I'm going to set my default backup type, device type, that is, to SPT tape, right? So once I run that set of configure commands, I only have to run it once, right? And now look at my backups. My backup scripts do not change. Let me take that back. The only part that we have to add is set the encryption on, identified by password in this case, right? But if you look at from the actual run block itself, right? Backup has compressed backup. Backup set. Backup has compressed set for archive logs and backing up my control file. It does not change one bit. Okay. So now, assumption is that I've already successfully backed up my database to Oracle Cloud, right? Now I could be anywhere. So this is where I kind of tease and say, you know what? Oracle Cloud now becomes like my Dropbox, right? And if you think about it, it's the same concept, right? And so I could be anywhere in the world as long as I have the auth key token and I have the credentials. I can restore my database anywhere, right? And so what I have to do is basically take the OPC installer.zip again, the jar file, right? And simply go through the install process, provide my credentials, provide my identity domain and my storage type and the location, right? And then I can go and literally restore my control file, right? In this case, I have to know the DB ID, right? And then I can actually go restore my control file from auto backup, right? And then now I'll have my control file. And guess what? At that point now, I can go restore the database and recover my database, right? I've actually fully allocated the or fully set the allocate channel command, but if you go in and set the configure command up front, you don't have to do this. And so now I've successfully restored my database and recovered my database, and now I've successfully proved that I can actually go and have DR anywhere in the world. Okay, so from a backup report perspective, right, I can go and list backup summary, and as you see, I can see that as I use SPT tape, I'm backing up my databases to the cloud, and if I use disk, right, I have my backups on premise on disk, right, and as again, I can have a combination. This is where you supplement your backups with the database backup cloud, right, and I can back up my databases back to the cloud again. So we have many options. So a lot of DBAs are not familiar with this concept of image copies. And so this is what we call incremental forever backup strategy. And we can actually do this kind of backup strategy on Oracle Cloud. Okay. And this is where we take an image copy of the database once and we take incrementals going forward. Right. And the idea is we never take a full backup ever again. From that point on, it's simply taking incrementals from the previous backup, doing a recovery, and then from there, taking another incremental level 1, and then you back up your archive log. So the idea is that my image copy that I took is literally an exact copy of my database, right? In the old days, we as DBAs used to back up our database by putting the database in backup mode and simply copying the data files. This is that same concept, except we're doing it through RMAN, and RMAN does not explicitly put the database in backup mode, right? And so because we do have a like-for-like copy, quote-unquote image copy of the database, right? I no longer have to take full backups ever again. And so if you have a large set of a large database size, right, you can work with Oracle to ship you, like a external USB or even a scaled down version of a ZFS for you to actually go back up your database to and literally ship to Oracle. Okay, and so here's a set of scripts you can download from my website, dbexpert.com/rman2disk. It's a comprehensive RMAN backup scripts that you can leverage to back up your database to on-premise local disk, to do image copies, to do incremental updates, and even do archive log only backups, etc. Right? So it's a great place, a really comprehensive place for you to learn. And if you wanted to go look at how to do certain things, right? You can go download and look at these scripts. Okay, so when I first started writing RMAN scripts back, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, or whatnot, they were very complex, and as a result of it, my RMAN backup script was literally over 100K. And I remember my boss was telling me, modularize it, keep it simple. And so this is what I did. And so I actually have modularized the RMAN backup components, and you can simply look at the script itself. As you can see, it's rman2disk.sql compression. This is the file that's going to run if you do any kind of compressed backups, right? And if you're going to do a for recover, which is going to be my image copy plus roll forward, you can see just that 1,370 bytes and look at the script and what it does. And so truly modularized it, made it easy for everybody. Okay, so Okay, we're going to go a little bit faster. We started late, but I'm going to try to see if we can finish sooner. So here's from a backup perspective. I'm going to go through the process of provisioning a database cloud, right? I'm going to, from the cloud service screen, I'm going to go create service. This is OCI, okay? And then from here, as you can see, we pick the frequency of metering hourly to monthly, and then we have the different versions of Oracle. It goes from 11 to 12 to 18C now. I can pick enterprise, extreme, high performance, and I have the database type to be single instance or rack, and I can specify, all my options for my database. And the reason why I'm showing this is that there's a backup and recovery configuration section here, right? And so as you can see here in the far right top portion, there's a backup destination dropdown. That backup destination dropdown has both cloud service, cloud storage, and local storage. Basically what it does is if you choose that option, right, Oracle will maintain 7 days of backups on local disk, and it'll also maintain 30 days of backups on Oracle Cloud. Okay, so I just wanted to show that. And then if you hit the create option, right, you can see that your database is being created. Okay, so now once I create my database, how do I actually access them, right? So there's a concept of private key, public key, right? You can have Oracle create your key for you, and you can download them as well. For companies who are very secure, this will not be the option that they choose. You'll choose the option where you can actually upload your own key. And so from a storage perspective, right? From a VM perspective, if you run out of storage on your database cloud service, right, you can go provision additional storage, right? And so this is where it becomes really useful for you to be able to go and understand the different storage that Oracle provides, right? And so this is again in the OCI Classic, right? You have the option to pick latency, low latency disks, and this storage will be used for my database files. Okay, so we talked about database backup cloud service, right? If you think about where all the files land in Oracle Cloud, it's going to land in the storage cloud. Okay, and so all the databases that you back up will reside as inside of a container in object storage, right? And so object storage is $30 per terabyte per month, right? And you have the option for non-metered as well as metered as well. And the more you use, the cheaper it gets. Okay, as you can see, the storage cloud software appliance is free as long as you are consuming storage cloud service. Okay, so Oracle also has a concept of archival storage. This is similar to Glacier storage in AWS. When they first introduced it, they were very aggressive, and they introduced it at $1 per month per terabyte. Since then, right, archival storage is now $2.60 per terabyte. Okay. Like I said before, if you have bulk data transfer that you want to do to Oracle Cloud, right? So if you're going to transfer any things up to 100 terabytes, Oracle will ship you a hard disk, USB hard disk, right? And if it's going to be over 100 terabytes, Oracle can ship you the storage appliance for import. Okay, so even at $2.64 compared to the price that you pay on Glacier, it's still about 1/3 of the price of Glacier. Okay, so I showed you earlier how to create a bucket, right? However, if you're in the OCI Classic, right, you still create containers, and so and this is relatively, believe it or not, even though I'm in OCI Classic, they offer these sets of screens later, and we used to have to do all the stuff manually using their curl REST APIs. And so now you can create containers. A container is like a directory in a file system. The only difference is that a container cannot have be nested. Basically means I cannot have a subdirectory inside of a container. Okay. And so I have the option to create standard and archive containers as well, right? Remember, standard is your typical object storage, $30 per terabyte. Your archive is, again, keyword is archive. And it's going to be significantly cheaper, $2 and something per month, right? And so think of archive being going to tape, and think of standard going to disk, right? And that is a good way for you to think about those two storage options. Also, from a object perspective, right? If you have a big file, right, you want to be able to break that up into chunks and load that in parallel, right? And so Oracle gives you the capability to load large objects. And as you can see, once I pick a file, there's multiple streams, as you can see in yellow. And it's going to break that file up in chunks and load them in parallel to Oracle Cloud. Okay. Again, both storage, object storage, as well as archive storage, you can actually enable encryption. So everything that goes up there can be encrypted. Okay, so choose the archive to be encrypted. And now what you can do is that from an archive perspective, right, it's easy to upload, but the thing is that as you want to download files, right, keyword is, Oracle wants you to archive your files, right? You're putting it there on tape, and you're putting it there for an extended period of time, right? So if you want to be able to restore a file, right, Oracle asks that you give them up to 4 hours to restore a file. Most of the time, for me, it's come back significantly sooner, but the general rule is that you want 4 hours. Also, you do not want to pull files down sooner than 90 days also. And if it's either 90 or 30, I'm forgetting, excuse me, but if you pull files sooner, you'll actually be penalized for that as well. Okay, so if I'm restoring a file, you don't get a notification indicating that the file has been restored. You actually will get a notice saying that the file is initiated for restore, right? As you can see, a prompt, in this case, Blue Earth JPEG, right? For restore, it says that restore job for that particular file is initiated successfully, right? And then as you check on status, you'll eventually see this notice saying the restore job is finished. And right now, you'll see that restore job is in progress. And once that you see that restored successfully in the very bottom, you can at that point say download the file. Okay, and so also Oracle provides APIs, just like we use the GUI. There's numerous APIs as well. There's two main APIs. There's the upload CLI, and there's also a Java API you can actually download from Oracle. All right, so from an archive storage perspective, right? And so the key word is that you want to put files there that you don't access for a while, right? And there's even with the storage appliance as well as Cloudberry Explorer plus Commvault and others, they all support archive storage, right? And so if you were to manually go and upload a file, you can actually use these sets of commands to upload. Like I said before, right? As you make a request to restore a file, right, you're gonna have to check on the status, and you're gonna have to go and track your status, and then finally, once it says that you're available, then you can actually download the file. Okay. Let's go quickly toward talking about the software appliance, right? Software appliance, simple to use. It's basically a Docker image that you download from Oracle and imagine it to be like an NFS filer that you get for free, right? And it's obviously a scaled down version of it and limited use version of it. But the whole idea is that I allocate storage for data, for log, and for cache, just like any filer would do, right? And whatever files you put into the actual data via a NFS mount point will automatically get replicated to Oracle Cloud. Okay, it's simple to set up. It's full SSL, right? It's extremely scalable, right? And it adopts to all the standards. So I have numerous articles on my website, on my blog site, step by step how to set this up, and obviously from Oracle as well. So it's free, like I said before, but it does require you to know a little bit about Docker. Okay. From a minimum requirement perspective, you want dual cores, 4-core CPU is recommended, and if you have 10 million files, right, you should have at least 64 gigs of memory. Okay, it does require UEK4 or later, and does which requires Oracle Linux 7. Okay. So once you go and download the file, as you gunzip it, gunzip, and you extract the tar file, right, there's a Readme file. That Readme file will actually walk you through step by step on how to do this. Okay. From a general architecture perspective, right, I simply take a file system that I created on my Linux file system, right? I create it as an NFS share, and I mount that on any server via NFS4, and everything that I get copied to that NFS share will get replicated to Oracle's storage cloud via HTTPS. Okay, so here's basic steps to install OSCSA, which is the software appliance, right? As you can see in red, we just need mount points for data, metadata, and log. Okay. And from a software appliance perspective, there's numerous best practices that you can go through as well. But here's some lessons learned in terms of the initial deployment of this, right? Is that the initial versions of OEL shipped with UEK 3.8, and I literally have to go and deinstall it and reinstall the latest UEK, which took me to 4.1. This is at the very beginning, right? It does require Oracle Linux 7. It's not supported on Red Hat yet, so that's something else to consider as well. All right. So from a software perspective, once I did the install, right, I named that server to be called Oracle Backups, right, and I log in via port 32769/login. Because it says I've never logged in before, it prompts me to change my password, and as you can see on the right side, it says to go create my file system, right, and I will go and enter in my file system name, right, and in this case, I'm going to call it docs for my file system name, right? And I provided my REST endpoint, and then what happened here? Yep. And then I enter my credentials for my username, password. All right. And it's going to ask me for that file system, right? Do I want to enable encryption? Do I want to enable fast sync? And do I want to connect to this file system once I'm done, right? So general rule is that only enable encryption on file system that you want to truly encrypt, right? Also, enable fast sync if you want basically flush to disk as metadata as much as possible, right? And so if you have a relatively critical application, right, you want to enable fast sync, okay? From backup perspective, you should enable fsync as well, right? And so as you can see, whenever you upload files, right? So I created a share off of that, right? Remember I called it docs, right? Oral backups docs. That's where the mount point becomes. And I can go on any source and mount that, right? And mount it as local as /docs. And every file that I put will automatically get uploaded to Oracle Cloud. Okay, so here's some basic commands to manage the Oracle Storage Cloud Software Appliance. You can go look at that at your own leisure. And that pretty much ends the session. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Feel free to hit me on Twitter. And I apologize again for the delayed start and the technical problems that we had. And I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. All right. Thanks. You have a good day.